Hi, I'm Nancy Clark.
And I'm Anne-Marie Wallace-Phillips.
We're the Hospice and Bereavement Coordinators with VO in Oxford, and this is Morning Chats with Anne-Marie and Nancy. Cheers, Anne-Marie.
Cheers, Nancy.
So today we're going to share with you some websites that we thought would be helpful resources if you are experiencing bereavement yourself or if you know someone who is bereaved. So we're going to share some sites that are geared for adults as well as some sites that are geared for children. Mm-hmm. So we're going to start off by talking about Dr. Alan Woolfe's website. He has been used for us for most of our morning chat videos.
Yes.
We reference him constantly, and we refer a lot of our clients to his website as well as his books. Yep. So his website is centerforloss.com, and we're going to link all of these websites and more in the description below. We didn't have time to discuss every single one we use today, so we're just going to hit a few of them. So Dr. Woolfe, he is a grief theorist. He lives in the United States, and the model that he uses for bereavement, his kind of cornerstone model, is companioning. So this concept that anybody with an open heart and love in their heart can companion and love someone who is grieving. So his website is chocked very well with grief articles explaining grief, special circumstances, as well as lists of his books. So he has oodles and oodles of books surrounding different types of grief and loss.
Many of his books can be found in our Hospice and Bereavement Community Library, which is located at Sakura House. Additionally, libraries can order in his books, and they're also relatively inexpensive, which is one of the things that I very much appreciate about his books. And the tip sheets found in Dr. Alan Woolfe's website are very easy to read, and they are absolutely free. And he talks about a range of emotions. Once again, Nancy said special circumstances. It's one of my go-to websites. I want to talk about another website. This website is called whatsyourgrief.com. This is a phenomenal website. It's a place for sharing, supporting, and learning about grief. It is very laid out for the griever, or perhaps you're supporting somebody who's a griever, or perhaps you're a professional, and this includes, volunteers who are supporting those who are grieving and need a little bit of extra information or articles that could resonate. The articles are relatable on many, many topics related to grief you could imagine. They also have a site where you can download and purchase at a very reasonable price, brochures, and they also have some learning series that you can utilize.
And the language in What's Your Grief is so relatable.
Yes.
It's, it can be funny, it can be tongue-in-cheek, it can, talk about kind of the other side of grief that only people who are in the thick of it can fully understand. So it's a very relatable site.
Yeah. And I find the one thing that I like about What's Your Grief, the articles, they don't beat around the bush. So, for example, if we are talking to somebody who has expressed relief that their loved one has died, but can't say that out loud because of shame, or they're afraid, what are people going to think? There would be an article about this. And many times when I refer articles to individuals, they look at us and like, oh, somebody else thinks like I do. And it's lovely. It very much validates their feelings. Yeah, it's a great website.
And the last adult website we're going to talk about today is mygrief.ca, which is a Canadian website. And it's really geared toward helping people work through their grief. There are different learning modules that are aimed to further kind of dive in and explore common feelings in grief, difficult situations, self-care strategies. And these modules are being developed to address very unique grief situations. For example, grief in MAID, so medical assistance in death, loss due to dementia, and loss due to suicide, among other topics. So very keyed in modules for individuals having these unique types of grief.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're going to move over and chat about some of our websites that we refer parents often for grieving children.
As we've talked a little bit before in our previous morning chats about children and grief, sometimes it's uncomfortable talking to children about death. There are many myths regarding children and grief that can shape and affect how we support children. Once again, developmental stages, the children's ages are a big influencer on how the children understands and how to support children who are grieving. It's also very important to remember that every family member grieves together, yet differently. So we're going to go over just some very few websites that Nancy and I both resonate with. Unfortunately, there is not a lot of time to go through all the websites. Our advice would be pick top 3 websites and use them. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Sesame Street in Communities.org. Sesame Street gets it.
Yeah.
So coping with the death of a loved one brings enormous challenges for the whole family. Grieving may never be completely ended, but working through the difficult feelings can become easier with time. Through support, open conversation, and finding ways to keep the loved one's memory alive, families can begin to heal together. This website is so beautifully laid out and written with tip sheets for caregivers, gentle videos, activities, and printables to help support and navigate the grief journey. They also have great suggestions on legacy activities clearly related to children, and children can watch a very special and beautifully done video as Elmer starts to navigate his grief journey after the death of his Uncle Jack. When Families Grieve is a free download for families, beautifully written, which helps families open up that conversation, tip sheets. This is a go-to resource if we have families who have younger grievers. I would say between the ages of 3 and 10. It's a beautiful website.
It is, and to see the beloved characters of Sesame Street, Elmo, Grover, Cookie Monster, discussing grief and discussing death. It is so amazing. It's like you said, Anne-Marie, they totally get it at Sesame Street.
Yes.
The next website is from the Dougie Center, and it is dougie.org. So although this is an American site, this is, again, one of the best children grief websites for tip sheets, activities, and other forms of information. So it also includes information for helping children cope when someone is actually diagnosed with a life-threatening illness, as well as information for educators and community members.
Yes.
So it's a really well-rounded site that it taps into all of those helpers that may be in a child's life, and it really equips them to handle these tough conversations and support.
Absolutely. And this website has been revamped recently, very, very well laid out. Once again, as with all the other resources that we have recommended, there's also linkages to other resources, tip sheets, activities, and it's just a very, very good website. And the last website we want to talk about, we talked about mygrief.ca. Now we're going to talk about kidsgrief.ca. So this is a Canadian website. It's free online resources that support caregivers to support their children when somebody in their life is dying or has died. This website equips adults with the words and the confidence needed to help children's grief and how to help them navigate the losses that are occurring in their life in a very healthy manner. This is also connected to, once again, mygrief.ca and virtualhospice.ca, which we will talk about when we talk about hospice and bereavement resources. Once again, very good site. And I like the fact that it is Canadian content. So many of the linkages are Canadian.
We have linked all of these websites and more in the description of this YouTube video. So feel free to check out all of these websites. We hope they're very helpful for you. And as always, feel free to reach out to Anne-Marie or I by phone or email to discuss this more or to help us direct you to find other resources specific for your situation.
Right.
And as always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can catch up on all of our previous morning chat videos. Have a great day and thank you.
Thanks for watching.